Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at 4 or 5 brawlers which I've completely forgot even exist in Brawl Stars right now, whether they're just terrible, whether they just don't really make an impact in terms of the meta as well. So also, before we jump into the video, make sure to check out my Twitch. I'll be streaming the whole of August pretty much every day at 6 PM at BST, so make sure to check that one out. And without further ado, let's hop into it. Alright guys, so jumping into probably the most forgotten brawler in the game right now, or one of the most for sure, it has to be Brawl. So Brawl just really doesn't have a place in the meta whatsoever right now. Even in Heist, pretty much never see a Brawl. Even on maps like Pit Stop, where literally it's the most base race map in the game, and where Brawl will have a really good purpose to just getting damage onto the safe, it's just never seen whatsoever. So yeah, Brawl definitely needs a little bit of a rework. Of course, there's been talk about it probably for like 6 months, maybe even close to a year now, in terms of the fact that there's so many brawlers in the game, especially tanks, that can just do a lot of a better job than Brawl. And the thing that makes him really bad is his super. It's so predictable. We said time and time again, I would like there to be some type of rework to this for sure. So we're going to use this super here, try and get close and personal to the Penny, but with Maisie in the back pocket, there's just nothing we can really do, especially we're up against Tomzy. So we're going to have a tough matchup here. But as I was saying, with Brawl super, I'd really like for it just to be stopped. I would like for Stomper to be baseline. That's literally one thing I've heard so many times from people. That is definitely the one thing I would like to see with Brawl, just because, again, it makes it a lot nicer to use your super. I'm going to be able to use the Stomper here, probably get down to Maisie, somehow survive in the end. Okay, that Petty Turret was extremely aggressive. There was no need for that, Thomas. There was no need for that, Thomas. But as I was saying, I would like there just to be Stomper baseline. So basically, how this would work is when you super, you could just tap your super button again, and then you can stop at any distance. So then, of course, I would like maybe a different gadget in to replace Stomper. We definitely need like a buff to his T-Bone injector as well. I'll just like something, right? Because Brawl has just been a terrible brawler for quite some time now. Hopefully, I can heal up in time. My Shelly's going to be able to get me with this one. I could just use another gadget to kill the Penny, but I don't think that's really going to be enough. And we only got 30 seconds left. But the thing is, I'm not going to be sitting here and trying to get a Brawl win all day, because I'm up against Shelly's, Cordelius's, you know, even Maisie's, for example. I just can't do a single thing. So for me, Brawl has to be one of the most forgotten brawlers for sure. Hopefully, no, just look at this. Like, his super can just be so terrible. Like, it can make some good plays, of course, if you're Pika. And, you know, sometimes I can make Brawl work, but a lot of times it is just so difficult. You know, when you think of brawlers like Primo, for example, you may as well just go at Primo, who is a tank where you can literally select where you super a lot of times. But yeah, Brawl, pretty terrible. Not even good in the Heist meta right now. Probably a bottom 5 brawler right now. Let's hop into the next one. Guys, so jumping into probably the most forgotten about brawler in the game right now, it is Rosa. So in terms of competitive, she's never seen. In terms of casual play, she's actually never seen either. So I looked at a few websites, and she's actually the least picked brawler, I think, on both websites which I went on. So of course, that can mean a few things. Rosa is just not really a fun brawler to play whatsoever. Also, she's not really the best in the meta, as I mentioned, you know, but Shelly's so prevalent. And just overall, she's not really satisfying. No real reason to play her in the meta. Like, the last time I really seen her be involved was when Sneaker Fields was in competitive, and she was actually a really good pick against Ash, and that was pretty much the only time I've seen Rosa being used. So yeah, not really the biggest fan of Rosa in this meta. For me, how would you actually go about buffing her? Because of course, she's pretty terrible right now, and definitely in need of a little bit of love. So hopefully they can give her the love she needs. But we should be able to cycle our super in time here. Nice. We can tank that Shelly super. We might be able to get out with our lives somehow. Okay, this is the one map which she's actually decent on. I mean, I've seen people on Twitter say, but like, so Rosa should get like a speed buff. You know, you think of Shelly, she's got a double speed buff, literally going from normal to very fast. Maybe an extra speed buff for Rosa. For me, maybe just a little bit of extra HP or some love to her star powers and gadgets, because most of them are pretty useless, right? So maybe some love to some extra healing, some extra damage. That would be pretty nice. So Rosa has to be one of the worst brawlers and the most forgotten. Let's jump into the next. Okay, so jumping into the next brawler, who I personally have completely forgotten about, it is Byron. So Byron just doesn't, again, have any place in the meta. I think I've seen him used like once in competitive, You know, sometimes I think he's underrated, but still, when I've seen him played, he just gets run over all of the time. And in terms of win rates and use rates across the board as well, by the way, if you're thinking of what websites I'm using the likes of like Brawlify, Brawl Time, Ninja, where you can see the data, which is pretty good to look at, especially for videos like this, because it further backs up my point, right? Because in terms of win rates, I think it's got one of the least win rates inside of a game. Oh, we can't stop this. BB, there's nothing we can do against that. But as I mentioned, like, it just backs up my point even further. And even as a Byron pretty much main I was for a long time because of how strong he was, it's just unfortunate that I don't really see him. So the reason why he's just so bad is because he's so easy to counter. There's just so many brawlers that can close the gap, and of course his super takes so long to get. It's just pretty painful to really do anything. So hopefully, nice. Okay, no. What did I just witness? What did I actually just witness on my screen? But yeah, you know Byron's bad because you think of passive maps, right? You think of like passive bounty maps, even like Shooting Star. You think of like Kaboom Canyon and all these other maps where he used to be so meta on. He's just not even considered at all. So that just goes to show just how bad Byron is in the meta. For me, absolutely terrible. Definitely needs some love. But the thing is, how do you actually buff Byron? Because if you guys remember, when he was first released and just for a long time, he was like the best brawler in the game. So dominant, and he actually is really toxic if he is meta. So you got to be careful when you're buffing Byron. For me, I would probably look to increase his damage maybe a little bit. That might be a good start. Maybe increase his reload a tiny bit. Because for me, still, he wouldn't be the best of brawlers, even if he had an increased reload speed, you know, to take it back to what it was previously. Mainly because his super was the strongest thing. Literally, the super used to only take 3 shots to charge. So that super cycling was just so toxic and just enabled you to make so many game-changing plays. Whilst, of course, now it takes 4 shots. So I think giving him a reload speed buff would be a good place. I actually think it'd be actually incredibly strong. So yeah, Byron, really low in terms of use rates, win rates, and just everything. He's completely forgotten about. Whenever I'm drafting, I never even look at this brawler because he's just so down bad. I mean, I thought I was going to lose there. I mean, we probably are still going to lose because it's Crow. It's just going to tank my shots. But that's going to be Buzz not scoring. Okay, overtime. This might be where I start to pop off. A nice jump from the Crow overall here. We're going to keep him tapped up, especially with the damage gear now active. Maybe we can just focus our healings onto the BB. She's going to be able to get the kill. She also pops her gadget as well. We've got to conserve a few pieces of ammo here to try and get us into a good position. We've got to just heal up this BB as much as possible. Getting close to our super as well here. We can probably throw that onto the Surge. 8 seconds left. Let's see if we can walk this one in. BB slots it in, and that's actually going to be the next brawler that is really just forgotten about. Let's hop into the next one. I'm moving on to the next brawler who is just completely forgotten about right now. It is Gale. So Gale, you know, a lot of people do like Gale in the meta. A lot of people really do enjoy playing him. But again, another brawler, when it comes down to competitive, I've just never seen. I think the only time I've seen Gale being used is Kaboom Canyon to use the launch pad to put people up the map. Some people really seem to think that he's like underappreciated or underrated. For me, he's just terrible. Like, let's just face it, he's terrible. It takes so long to get his super. There's so many better tank counters out there. For me, it definitely needs a little bit of a buff for sure. Just completely forgotten about. I don't want, of course, him to be buffed too much because you take me back to the Gale meta, and the reason why he's so toxic is because the fact that you could charge your super and you could start actually countering brawlers that weren't tanks. So that, of course, is really toxic when you start kind of hyper countering every single brawler in the game. You don't want that, right? You only really want him to deal with tanks, which you can still do somewhat decently, but it still takes a long time to get super. And as I mentioned, you've got brawlers like Shelly, you've got all these tank counters in the game right now in the meta that just do his job so much better. So I completely forgot he exists. Normally he would be a brawler that you could consistently go in draft as like an early pick, to be honest, and you'd be good against pretty much everything. But right now he just sucks. I forgot he even exists. I don't even consider this brawler whatsoever. So okay, we've got to push this Nita onto the wall. Should be able to get her down thanks to the damage gear. Primo's probably going to jump in. Yeah, we've got some gadgets left. I can't actually see because of my microphone there. He's going to jump on in, and hopefully our Shelly can time that right. Okay, we're able to get that. Surge jumps in whilst Crow poisoned. I do love Brawl Stars randoms right now. Like, what is that logic? I've just never seen anything quite like it, but we've got to be able to get the stun onto the Surge. He's going to be pretty weak. Somehow the Shelly loses to a Primo. Our Crow passes the ball over to Nita, which isn't the most ideal play. Hoping we get some sort of pinch here with the Surge. We can just super Nita and get a free kill. And that's exactly why I don't really want Gale to be meta. Like, I want him to be buffed. Maybe if they could just buff his damage. Maybe that would be pretty nice. Something that can not be toxic. I don't want anything to do with his super probably buffed, just because, like, it's just a free kill every single time. There's no counterplay really to a Gale stun. It is literally one of the best things in the game. So we're going to push this Primo back. Try and cycle our super in time here. Got to use a super here to pretty much confirm us 2 kills. Just the Surge left. Crow's going to bait out a little bit. And that's going to be the... That's not going to be the win. That is not going to be the win. What? Get me off this game. I've been streaming for too long and it's just so painful. Primo goes for the super kick. Doesn't really work out. And now we've got overtime looming. We're trying to get this Nita down as quickly as possible. And I just know it's going to end in a loss. And of course it is. But anyways, that's going to be it for today's video. Let me know who is one of the most forgotten about brawlers in the game right now. There's probably a few more, right? Like Jackie. Trying to think of some off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, Gale, sometimes underappreciated, especially in Brawl Ball. That's going to be it for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.